Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 128. Big Box Steven Mike, Big Smooth, Fresh Wes, back from his last missed podcast. So we got the crew talking about week 11 picks, week 10 recap of the NFL. We'll get into college football. Fantasy is getting pretty interesting in the HSC podcast world.
It's going to be close.
Well, you guys are probably going to lock up your division, even though you play this week. But did you see what happened in the other division, in my division?
Like, everyone but one is like one game behind you.
Josh is only 2 games back, three tied at 1 game, and then I have a 1 game lead. So that's going to be a mess as we close out to see who makes the playoffs. So that'll be fun. We'll keep an eye on that. The nice thing about that division is everybody's playing, everybody's trying, nobody's
Yeah.
out of it. So that'll be an interesting finish there. NFL wise, let's jump into NFL early. We'll go college afterwards.
Which
Derek,
NFL sucks.
what?
NFL sucks, dude. Fucking pussies, dude. I'm sorry, man. This is a weak league, dude. It's not the way we grew up with, dude. This is pathetic. Sorry.
I definitely don't. I don't like the way now that people getting hit changes the game. A lot of the quarterback roughing, receivers that are defenseless receivers, and I get it. They're trying to protect players, but it changes the game a lot.
We're protecting here, dude. I mean, I wish they'd hit Caleb Williams. Maybe he'll get a brain. Like, that was the most atrocious effing freaking game I've ever seen from a quarterback.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, he had 30 some attempts. He's averaging less than 9 yards per attempt. Not even completion in that last 2 games. So it's pretty tough to win when you're not.
It's all the coach's fault, right? So you're gonna fire the offense coordinator, right? He is the most inaccurate quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Am I wrong?
It's not good.
He is terribly inaccurate.
Yeah.
Like, Justin Fields just laps him, circles around him for being accurate. He is not accurate at all.
It's interesting when you talk about that. Remember game one with the Titans and the first probably like 10 throws he made, he overthrew or missed, half of them. And so you're like, this is the number one overall pick, supposed to be your going forward quarterback. Very first game, he can't complete an open pass. He missed, multiple open receivers. So it makes you wonder, is it the system? Is it the coaching? Or is Caleb not good?
No.
Or it could be that he got sacked 9 times.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't help. He didn't hold the ball on a couple times too long.
Okay, so I'm sorry, then he got sacked
but
7 times because that
true,
offensive line sucks.
true. That's the problem. Is because 2 times he held it too long, and the other like 7 times
Right.
he had no chance.
Well, the question is, though, if you're great, you're great, right? I mean, even if you have a bad offensive line, Barry Sanders example, like I'm not saying Caleb is Barry Sanders, but he's still a number one overall pick. He's supposed to be a generational talent.
Yeah, Peyton Manning won one game his rookie year.
I mean, but you attribute those different things, right? I mean, so the hope is, so I guess the question is will Caleb Williams come back after this rough year? Because even if they finish, say, 7-9 or 7-10, or can he come back and have a second year or a third year, fourth year, and look like a Pro Bowl quarterback?
Probably. Yeah. It's a rough first year. It's ugly. The last game was really ugly. But
That's what
it's possible.
the problem I have is I feel like watching every game, he's degressing.
Yeah, he is. A little bit. But they fired their offensive coordinator. So this week, he'll be good, right?
No, because the new offense coordinator is the coordinator of the Carolina Panthers last year.
Right.
So that makes sense. The guy that ruined Bryce Young.
I mean,
but here's the thing. The Patriots had 16 sacks all season. All season.
Yeah. True. Not true. Not so.
So here's the thing. It can be both. Yeah, Caleb Williams needs to learn how to throw the ball away. But how many rookie first-year quarterbacks do that?
He's very inaccurate.
Yeah, but that's the thing is.
The problem is there's dudes wide open, and he's missing them.
Yeah.
And there are a couple theories behind it. One is they traumatize him so much that when the dudes are open, he's missing them. And that's on the Bears. Or he's been inaccurate since the Trojans. He's not very accurate. He's terribly.
The greatest senior year or last year, of playing at USC.
He's throwing dudes over the top, under. It's like, dude, you got dudes wide open and you're missing them.
Well, DJ Moore.
Maybe that's because that he's being pressured too much.
DJ Moore's obviously frustrated.
Well, he walked off the freaking field.
Did you hear his explanation for that?
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, he tweaked his ankle.
Well,
he didn't seem like he was limping.
I hope that the Bears might make the playoffs this year. It doesn't look like they're going to. So this really comes down to, what does Caleb look like year 2, year 3? It's hard to say he's going to come out of it, but you're right. I mean, there's, obviously cases, Peyton Manning's and things like that they've done the same thing. So I guess you just, at this point.
Peyton Manning was accurate. Peyton Manning's always been an accurate passer. He didn't have a big arm. He's not freaking Josh Allen. But like Drew Brees. Drew Brees didn't have a strong arm. But you're accurate. He looks inaccurate. It's bad. Like, you're throwing dudes. Like, I saw him pass. You threw a fucking pass like 20 yards above a dude's head.
Yeah.
I'm like, I understand you're under pressure, but he is inaccurate.
So Peyton Manning is accurate, but his rookie year he threw
20. Accurate. He's the most accurate passer in NFL history. Do you think Caleb Williams is going to be as accurate as fucking Peyton Manning?
Well, is he going to throw 28?
No,
is he going to throw 28 interceptions like he did his rookie year? That's what Peyton Manning did. So you can't tell me that he's accurate. Maybe when he got older he was accurate, but not his rookie season.
Yeah, rookie season.
So Caleb Williams is going to be as accurate as Peyton Manning. Is that what
you're saying? What I'm saying is Peyton Manning was not accurate his rookie year. He was accurate to the other team. So's Caleb Williams. You're telling me Caleb Williams sucks and is not accurate.
I'm not saying I don't know what he is, because we don't know anything because he came from USC. And look at Lincoln Riley. How does Lincoln Riley look now? He's lost 5 games, and he has all that talent. Is he really that smart?
Well, they didn't look good for sure. Caleb's senior year. You watched that year, and it was kind of a downfall.
Was it mostly him, or was it the defense was so bad?
I watched quite a few of their games, obviously, with knowing that Caleb was probably coming to Chicago. I wasn't impressed with him as last year. He had a good college career. I guess you have to wait. We don't know what Caleb Williams is going to do yet. The problem I have with it is Ryan Poles did a good job at putting talent around him, minus the offensive line, but giving him people to throw the ball to, run the ball, bringing in Swift, things like that. So I guess this is where the real challenge comes in, because now they got all their division games starting this week. And right now, the NFC North is a tough division. It's maybe not the best, arguably, but this is where you see what happens, because you could finish, 5-12 as you play 6 games against your division rivals. And that's not a good look for them, given what they have talent-wise on both sides of the ball. Can he come back? Can he second year, third year, be a good quarterback and go that? Yeah, I guess, that remains to be seen. But I agree with Wes in the sense that interceptions, whatever you want to call inaccuracy, his inability to throw routes and, like a back shoulder, that's what worries me. I watched some of these back shoulder throws he's throwing, and he's throwing them 5 yards out of bounds.
Well, at the same point, he could be nervous. He could be traumatized. The dude's been sacked more than any other quarterback since when? But we don't know that. How many times have you been sacked he got sacked 9 times in the last game?
Let's look it up. Caleb Williams sacks this year.
Yeah.
Well, I think the big thing is if you think about, and it goes to Ryan Poles. He's great at getting talent. He's not great at hiring coaches. Because here's the thing. What did the Commanders do? They brought in Cliff Kingsbury. What is he known for?
Right.
Being a quarterback guru.
Stretching the field, though, too, which is a problem for the Bears. They're not stretching.
And you know what? The Bears interviewed him, and then they didn't hire him.
But where did Queensberry go to the Cardinals?
No, the Commanders.
Oh, shit. That's right.
He's Jaden Daniels' offensive coordinator. So, and who does Bo Nix have? Bo Nix is doing okay. Who's his offensive mind there? Sean Payton.
Right.
So what do you get for Caleb Williams? You get a lame duck coach who everyone knew wasn't going to make it past this year.
They should have fired him.
Yeah. And then you got like Shane Waldron, who there was an interview with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah.
And they were talking, they were saying, oh, the Bears just hired Shane Waldron. And he was like, oh, okay. Good luck with that. I mean,
is that what they said?
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's rad.
So Caleb's been sacked 38 times this season. That's over 4 a game. And 9 times
he's being abused. Stupid.
Yeah.
But then he does hold the ball. The last game he was holding the ball a little bit too long. I get it. But that also has to do with the route tree, Like
Well,
if your guys aren't open, like you got four guys at least out there, and guys, your route tree sucks. Of course you're gonna hold the ball. So what is it? Did you guys watch the Dolphins game last night? That was horrific. Like, I thought Mike, I thought he was a genius. This is the worst freaking. They're running curl routes. They ran dudes 3 curl routes. And
I don't
they're
understand.
They're not open.
I don't understand their offensive scheme with the players that they have, right? Um, they almost think they're Mike McDaniel thinks they're a running team.
Well, now that you got your, Moser, HN, I get that, but he's throwing the ball sideways. I didn't tell you guys, dude. 160 people. Look, I finished second in the pool.
Wow.
And I didn't win any money. I did finish first.
Well, that's
Dude,
not a good.
the number one dude was a Rams fan. He bet against his own team in that game. That's why I lost. I bet Miami. He bet Miami. It's like, what's wrong with the Rams? Is it their offense? Like,
Well, I just think the Dolphins are on the upswing, though.
But did you see how they played last night? Like, they're conservative, and they still won.
Well, they had the lead. I think that's one of those where you have
They had 7-0 lead, right? And they felt good. And then you had a Tiger touchdown. I was like, cool. But man, the Rams couldn't do anything. Like, is that a Super Bowl contending team? No way.
Well, the Dolphins only had 238 yards of offense
Yeah.
last night. Or
but their defense played really well.
Oh, their defense. Who expected their defense to play that well?
Rams had 327 yards of offense, so about 100 yards more. I mean, Stafford threw for almost 300, it just no touchdowns and the pick.
Yeah.
The Rams, I don't know if you guys watched the game, but the Rams play calling was pretty awful.
Yeah.
You got Nakua back and you got back. Cup looks good. And you're still not utilizing them on, second and the second and fives, the second and sevens. I get it, Kyron Williams has played pretty well and been a good running back, but that's the time when you want to hit those guys over the middle when you're talking about Nakua.
Well, I was Williams injured.
No, he ran for 62 yards on 15 carries.
And Stafford threw the ball 46 times.
Yeah.
Tua was 20 of 28.
Yeah.
And they didn't even run the ball that much. HN had 12 carries.
It's interesting how they had the same time possession, and the Miami just didn't have a lot of yards.
Well, Miami is really conservative. They're like, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Waddle. Like, why aren't you advancing the ball down the field? But they still won the game. I get that, but
yeah, the Rams had 15 more plays.
Yeah,
it just seemed like the Dolphins kind of just were milking the clock a lot.
Yeah.
So the frustrating part for me is you have Cooper Kupp and Nakua both back, both healthy. You get down within, the goal to go, and you throw it to Robinson.
Well, yeah, they're front. Robinson.
He had the last good couple games, right?
Yeah.
But if you're talking about who's the better receiver, though.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe the coverage was on Kupp and Nakua, and that's why they went to Robinson.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a design
What's
play
going
for
on with Nakua? It's like he didn't have that many catches. Like
Nakua had 9 for 98. He had
Nakua had a
14
good
targets.
Yeah.
He had more than Cup.
7 for 80. But you look at Tyreek Hill had 3 catches for 16 yards. A-Chain had 12 carries for 37 yards, the 3.1 yard average.
Mozart had 0 carries. I think because they got up, 17-6.
Right.
And they kind of just took the foot off the gas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that third quarter when they scored and the Rams didn't, it really kind of made it late in the game that now you're down, 11 points, which is not a lot. And the Rams had their chances in the second half. So
yeah.
I'm surprised I had the Rams. I thought the Rams would win that game. But that was a big, big loss for the Rams. Dolphins aren't going to make the playoffs. They're 3-6.
Yeah.
They still can.
The Bengals will make the playoffs for the
The Bengals. I like that.
They're 4-6. And trust me, I'm like, dude, the freaking Bengals and Ravens game.
Yeah, let's start with the Week 10 recap. We got talked about the Bears, talked about the Monday Night Football game, but go back talking about Thursday night. That Ravens Bengals, that's crazy. Burrow throws for 228 yards.
Let me say something, dude. I was gonna. You beat Randy by 100 points.
Steve didn't even have to care because of one night. Thursday's done.
Thursday had 100 points.
I was like, I didn't see the scoreboard for a couple days. I'm like, dude, Steve is up 150, and Randy's like like 60 points.
Well, it's brutal because Chase had 55.
Yeah.
But that game in general, though, Bengals had a chance. Like, they should have won that game.
They should have, but
their defense gave 21 points.
When you said the last play call and you said they should have kicked the extra point, you're right. If you're gonna win, you're gonna run such a stupid play. Like, why are you throwing it to your most unathletic player? Jamar Chase is running a drag route behind, the goalpost.
You got to give him a chance.
Like, why are you throwing it to him?
Right.
Well, do you really think, okay, if you tied it up, you're still giving Lamar Jackson like what?
Exactly. So let's say you take a 1-point lead. You're giving them 37 seconds. If it's under 20, I get it. Go for 2. If it's 40 seconds, you're taking a risk because Lamar Jackson can get you in field goal range, and you have the best kicker in the NFL. That was the risk.
Right. And that's, the thing is because Lamar, he had a really good game too. He didn't throw for as much yardage as
like what is going on with him? Is he really that good? Think about it. Look how good he's playing. He's doing stupid stuff.
25 of 33 for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns.
But the running, the way he ran down that sideline, that's just dumb.
He's already got better stats this year than last year.
Yeah.
He's on Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely on his way to an MVP season.
A third one. And you know what they say on the sports talk shows? Oh, well, he's like the only quarterback that hasn't been to a Super Bowl with 3 MVPs. I'm like, okay.
He's got a team.
It's dumb.
Their team is really good this year because, obviously Adden Henry gives them a new element. But, you've got Mark Andrews coming back on right now. He's he had a tough start, injuries, whatever, but he's looking really good. I don't know. I mean, Deontay Johnson adding him that helps, but you got Flowers, you got Bateman, you got Andrews, Henry. I mean, that's a tough offense to stop when you're talking about Lamar Jackson because he's your first.
Yeah.
Got to stop Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting, like playoff run here. Like, I mean, look at Josh Allen and the Chiefs this week.
Yeah, that's a big game.
Yeah,
I more for the Bills than the Chiefs, I think. But we'll get into that. Uh, the Giants. So let's go. Let's run through the recap real quick. Giants lose to the Panthers. At what point do you have to be done with Daniel Jones?
I think they're done with Daniel Jones.
oh, they're already done with them. They're trying to figure out where they want to move them. Because Daniel Jones, he's a great runner. He just can't throw the football.
37 attempts for 190 yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two interceptions on top of that.
Yeah.
So that's
and the person that's gonna take the fall is Dayball. Because they want to fire Dayball. But if anyone's gonna be a
they don't fire the GM too.
It's gonna be Deion Jones. So they're gonna have to get rid of Deion Jones so Dayball doesn't get fired.
So I feel like the GM's getting fired after he let Saquon go.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Dude. True.
Because the owner wasn't happy about that.
Yeah. You can't let Saquon Barkley go.
That was a tough game to pick. I had the Giants there because it's the Panthers.
No, what? And when I looked at the pick, I was like, what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking straight. I was like, why wouldn't I pick the Panthers? Because the Giants, they're so dysfunctional.
Yeah, they have to do something with Daniel Jones, that's for sure.
Dude, the Giants might have a top 5 pick.
Right now they're number 1.
Right.
Are they? Yeah.
Patriots Bears, talked about that. Bills Colts, Bills win. Not much surprise there.
Really good to be to bench Anthony Richardson to make the playoffs.
So they've lost the last 2, right?
Yeah, since they benched him.
And that's tough. Jonathan Taylor had a good game. But you look at the way the Colts played, I mean, 3 picks from Flacco, that really hurt them, even though Allen had 2 picks. I don't know if Indianapolis has the defense to make a run here.
Yeah. I didn't think they were a playoff contender team anyway. And that's the thing that just makes me so irritated is you could have actually developed your quarterback, got him more game experience for next year.
Well, what do you think about the Bills, right? So Bills go to 8-2 with that win. What's the future look like for the Bills here?
Well, Keon Coleman was hurt, right? So they still did it with Amari's been hurt too. Yeah, Amari Cooper didn't play. Keon Coleman didn't play. So you beat the Colts with Mac Hollins as your top receiver.
Right. But you got the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Rams, the Lions, the next 4 games. So 3 of those 4 games you could lose.
Yeah. They'll probably split them, go 2-2.
Maybe. I mean, what do you think? Chiefs, Lions. That's tough, but you can beat the 49ers, beat the Rams. Then you got Patriots, Jets, Patriots to finish the season. So that's pretty nice. Should be 3 wins there.
Well, also, I think Josh Allen hasn't lost to Mahomes in the regular season.
Right. If they split there, win the last three, 5 more wins. So you're talking about a 13-4 team. So future looks good for the Bills looking at their schedule. Did you see the end of the Chiefs Broncos game?
Yeah. I knew. I'm watching and I'm like, just don't do that. And then I'm like, then they did, and I'm like, well, that's what you get. I can't stand when teams do that. It's like, why give it in the hands of the something bad can happen always. Try to score a touchdown. Always. Don't just kneel. If anything, okay, fine, just run it up the middle or something. But don't just, yeah.
Yeah, you got to go for the touchdown, when it comes down to that. But I mean, it's not often a field goal is blocked,
Right.
but that's a brutal loss. Saints beat the Falcons, which for me was a surprise because the Saints have not looked good.
That was one of the swing games I won
Yeah.
because, yeah, I don't trust the Falcons. And I mean, and Carr is back, so they're a different team with Carr than they are with Rattler.
Yeah, they're beat up though.
Yeah, but they still got Kamara. I mean, they got Taysom Hill. They got the two tight ends. They got players.
But if you would have said Kirk Cousins is going to throw for 300 yards, Bijan's going to rush for 116, and they're going to lose,
I just say the Falcons are the Falcons,
typically though, when your quarterback throws for 300 and your running back's over 100, you're not losing a lot of games.
right?
49ers Bucks was a crazy finish too. Purdy goes for 353, but against the Bucks, everybody throws for a lot of yards. But another tough loss right at the end with the field goal. The Steelers Commanders same way. So Commanders Steelers 7-2, 7-3. That's still to me is pretty wild.
You know, people that were saying, "Oh, why would you bench Justin Fields or Russell Wilson?" kind of look dumb now, I think,
Right.
because Russell Wilson's actually before they were winning, but it wasn't.
Wasn't pretty.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh yeah, they got a competent quarterback in there that can take you down to win a game.
What do you think about the Commanders here going into the second half or the late second half of the season? Are they a contender or what's their future look like?
I kind of, well, it's hard to say, but I'm more inclined that they're more going to be a fringe playoff team, just because of the inexperience at quarterback and everything. It's a nice. It's just too early. I think in the second half, teams will be game planning better. They've got game film on Daniels, so I don't think it's going to be. They probably go like 500 in the next half.
The problem is that they got the Cowboys twice, and the Cowboys look done. They do have the Eagles twice, though, which that's two really tough games. But then the Titans and the Saints and the Falcons to finish. Even if they lost twice to the Eagles, they still finish 12-5 if they
Yeah,
win the other ones.
guess it's the advantage of playing the Cowboys and the Giants, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, Cowboys should normally be a tough game, but at this point, with Dak gone and they're just, as a team, they're done.
Right. That's the other thing. It's like, okay, so Dak's out for the year. Why is Cooper Rush starting?
Well, do you see Trey Lance?
Yeah, well, I'd rather have Trey Lance in there to see what you have.
Yeah. Well, they put him in, but I mean, it's late in the game. They were already down, 4 touchdowns. So
I mean, we already know what we got with Cooper Rush.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you don't, not a lot. You really look at it, the Eagles didn't have a lot of offense, but still scored 34 points. Jalen only throws for 200 and Barkley only runs for 66, and you win 34-6. Jets Cardinals, just the Jets just looked horrible.
oh, my pettiness is so happy with this.
Yeah. I guess the Jets as a team, set that aside for a second. Like, is Aaron Rodgers done? Like, what's his future look like?
Oh, yeah, he's done. I mean, 22 of 35, 151 yards. That was another fun thing was Mike Williams, he's on the Steelers now and catches the game-winning touchdown and he's like, "Oh, maybe it wasn't my fault," because Aaron Rodgers threw him under the bus.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Devontae
mean,
Adams, 13 targets,
all right.
6 receptions for 31 yards.
13 targets. That's a lot.
Yeah, and if I say, "Oh, Devontae Adams is gonna get 13 targets," you think he's gonna be like 10 for
100.
100 yards, right? Not anymore.
Yeah. Statistically, it just looks horrible. But Aaron Rodgers in general does not look like, you know, he has in the past. So the injury, you're out for a whole year, you're already 40.
Father Time catches up with
Yeah.
everyone.
I think, even I thought the Jets would have a good year, but watching Rodgers play, he just doesn't obviously look like his former self.
Oh, Wes talked about it at the very beginning of the year. He said the Jets are going to suck, and they're not very good.
Yeah. Well, their defense should be good, but they're not playing well on defense either. So it's kind of like a snowball effect.
Yeah, what Kyler Murray went for? He didn't even. It's actually. Oh, he was 22 of 24.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. If your secondary is supposed to be good.
Yeah.
So that was a surprising game. I mean, I know the Cardinals are playing better and they can win that game, but to watch the Jets play that bad, that's pretty tough. Um, the Texans Lions, that was a great game. So 19 points from the Lions in the second half to the Texans 0. So 23-7, they come back, win the game. What does that say, for the Lions? How does that help them and how does that hurt the Texans?
Well, it was interesting. Like, you're watching the game, and I'm watching it, and I'm seeing the Lions down, but my eyes were saying, "Oh, well, I think they could still win this game." It just seemed like they were the better team. And then it was like, okay, now they're getting momentum, and then all of a sudden it changed. The game changed. And Texans are just still young. They don't have, it's more of a sophomore slump. Um, and it was Collins was back, wasn't he? But he's still not healthy.
Yeah, he didn't play a bunch. He wasn't. I mean, they're 6-4. They're still obviously probably going to win that division because it's not great at all.
Right. They're not as good as we thought they were going to be this year.
Yeah, when you look at the way Stroud played last year, he's not playing as well as he did last year. So, but you added Joe Mixon, but then again against Detroit, he rushes 25 times for 46 yards.
1.8 average. Now,
Right.
one good thing, I don't know if it's a good thing, but with Diggs getting hurt and Collins being hurt, is Mechie is starting to come around. And that's like a nice, good story because he was an Alabama receiver.
Yeah. Well, he had a great game. I mean, and I think, well, because also you have Diggs out. Yeah. So
Yeah.
And I don't even think Nico Collins had a catch. No.
No, he didn't. I don't know if did he play then?
Yeah, he may not have played, but he's off IR, and
Maybe it was designated to return but didn't play.
he's a game time decision. But what I think for, watching that game, I think it was good for Detroit to kind of, have that a little bit of adversity against a decent team, a pretty good team, and, come back and win the game. Because for Detroit, that's what they're going to need to, get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're going to need that mental toughness in tough games.
Right. The resilience.
Right. And then Dolphins Rams, we talked about that. Really though, 3-6, 4-5, it's not that exciting of a game, but
Right.
so it was an interesting week. And you went 12-2, so you had a good week.
I was winning all the swing games.
Yeah.
And that was one where I was like, when I picked, what I've learned is I don't spend too much time. I look at it and I pick it. Because when you start thinking about it too much, yeah. That's why I like
Right.
this, like the Bears and the Patriots. I was like, I don't think the Bears have it this week. Or the Saints beating the Falcons, or I think you had the Jets and I had the Cardinals.
Right. Well, Saints Falcons could win either way.
Yeah.
Jets goose egg, and then or just laid an egg. And then the Bears, same thing. It's one of the worst showings that I've seen from them in a while, since Eberflus's first year.
Yeah.
And that's the fear I have is them going backwards.
Yeah.
I don't even know that they're even a playoff contender anymore.
Yeah, it's hard because I just don't know because it's hard to when you're in the middle of the year and you get rid of your offensive coordinator because you can't change offenses.
No, you're still going to run the same similar playbook.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll actually cater it though and you know actually put in plays to help Caleb Williams because whenever I watch the Bears play, they never give him they don't do play action like on first down or they don't or when they do it's like oh we're gonna go like a 5 6 7 long drawn out plays. It's like where are the quick passes, where's the I'm not talking the slant or the screens. I'm talking like the middle like quick little hitches and stuff like that.
Yeah. Get the ball out of his hands because he has no time. If
Right.
you
And
know
then
your offensive line sucks, start running plays that allows him to throw the ball quickly.
right. And then that way he doesn't have to think about it either. And
Yeah.
he could just go, boom, just throw to that guy, boom, get rid of it. Or even just say, if DJ Moore's not open, throw it away.
For me, they're very predictable and they're putting him in positions of down and distance that makes it very predictable for the defense.
Right.
So yeah, if you put him in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 every time, the defense knows what's coming every time, right?
Right.
If you run on first down every time, that's the problem. Is they're very predictable. They've been very predictable, especially in the last few games. And sitting there watching at home on TV, you're like, okay, here's what's next.
Hmm.
So, what do you think a trained coach who's 100 times better than this than we are, is going to think as a defensive coordinator? Like he knows what's coming. So that's an issue for them, and maybe they'll change it up. And I keep thinking, you've got to at some point stretch the field, but they don't.
Well, that's just the why it's so odd. It's like you got rid of Luke Getzey and then brought someone in exactly like Luke Getzey, right?
Right, right,
It's
exactly like him.
it's like so no original. It's like let's run the ball on first down. Let's run a little screen on second down. Oh, it's 3rd and 8.
You have a guy who can throw the ball downfield, not as accurately right now as you would expect him to be able to, but you still have to try. That's the problem.
Well, that's the issue too. Is DJ Moore's mad because he's the deep threat,
Right.
but you can't throw it to him because you're getting sacked.
Yeah, you have no time. So before we get into the week picks, I just want to hit Ravens and Steelers for a second. So Ravens 7-3, Steelers 7-2. They play twice, including this next week. They play again late in the season. They both have similar schedules, one or two other hard teams, but they play each other twice. Can Pittsburgh win the AFC North?
Yeah, because they got the defense, but and because the Ravens losing to the Browns kind of hurts them and the Raiders, be honest. So that those two losses are really hard to come back from if the Steelers keep winning.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it comes down, it's going to be huge them playing each other twice, right?
Steelers haven't, they're like they have they haven't played any division games yet. Jeez. So they got two at the Bengals, two at the Browns, two at the Ravens, and the Eagles and the Chiefs.
Right. That's
That's a
adding the Chiefs in there because the Ravens play the Eagles as well, but Pittsburgh plays the Chiefs, which it doesn't look like an easy game at this point. Um, they may be undefeated still. I
I
think
could
the Steelers have the harder schedule for sure,
yeah.
looking at it.
They got at least four losses coming up, maybe more.
Yeah, so Baltimore does look like, they may win that division based on schedule. And if they say they split with the Steelers, they still win the division,
Yeah.
most likely. Because I imagine the Steelers will split with the Bengals.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring.
Yeah,
And I think they'll lose to the Eagles and to the Chiefs. So
right. They could beat the Eagles. I don't know that they'll beat the Chiefs. The Eagles, they have to continue to grow. Like they're on a good roll, but you can't take the Cowboys game and move forward with that because you didn't play that well. Your defense did, and Cowboys made a lot of mistakes. Jalen Hurts still isn't having an amazing season. He's not having a terrible season, but it's still a tough game. So, yeah, I'm gonna say as well, Baltimore probably wins that division. Let's see, Kansas City obviously probably wins. Houston looks like they win.
Bills.
Yeah, Bills obvious. I mean, they got a huge lead. NFC North is interesting still. And we already talked about Commanders, but looking at Lions, Vikings, Packers now. Packers don't look so good.
Vikings don't look so good either.
Yeah, I mean they're still 7-2.
Yeah, but the last few games I've been like, eh.
It kind of looks like Sam Darnold looking like Sam Darnold again.
Yeah. I mean, 12-7 against the Jaguars, and that was Mac Jones Jaguars.
Yeah, and they
Which is
barely.
sad. I wanted Wes to be on here to talk about Mac Jones.
But their two losses, I mean, tough loss to the Lions, and then that Rams game, very controversial at the end. They really don't have a tough schedule at all because they
No.
only have the Lions one more time. And they got Packers, Seahawks, Bears, Falcons, Cardinals, Bears, Titans. So realistically, I mean, they could still finish with 4 losses.
I guess we have to see because of the way is Sam Darnold. I mean, now that there's lots of tape on them, is he going to come down? I mean, but like you said, they got the freaking Titans this week. It's like
Right.
Jaguars and then to the Titans.
I mean, that's good for them in a sense.
Right.
The uh the Packers don't I mean they got 49ers, Bears twice, Lions once, Vikings. So Packers may not make the playoffs, even though they're 6-3 right now. Because that final spot is going to be hard because you got San Francisco and Arizona, you got Green Bay and Minnesota all fighting for those last couple spots. Because it looks like the Commanders, given their schedule, will probably take the 5th seed.
Yeah,
That
well,
means
it
you get
kind of looks
two.
like the Bears are out. I'm looking at their schedule, and they have one team with a losing record the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I said like the Bears just don't look like they have a chance at the playoffs at this point.
And so we're looking, yeah, so it's one from the south, two from the east, and then could be two from the west or one from the west and still three from the north.
Right. So the Packers, depending on how they finish the season, they could be in a battle with Arizona or San Francisco
Right.
for a final spot. Because it looks like the Vikings will take a spot too, looking at
Yeah.
their schedule. So
If we way things are going, unless, well, come on, think of last year, the Jaguars, everyone thought they were making the playoffs,
right.
and then they just totally shat the bed. But right now we're looking at Commanders, Eagles, Falcons, Lions, Vikings, and then Cardinals or Niners.
Yeah.
Those are your locks.
Yeah. Depending on how Arizona and San Francisco finish,
Right.
because they could be in an NFC South situation where you look at their records at playing each other and somebody gets in at like 9-7 or something.
Right.
So that'll be tough. Well, I mean, we're getting closer and closer. So watching these games play out, this is where each game becomes important. So Philadelphia, Washington, Thursday night. So we'll get into our weekly picks. So week 11 NFL picks, HSC Podcast. Here we go. Thursday night game, Washington at Philadelphia.
I don't like this week at all because a lot of the favorites look like they're going to win, and that always is bad. And for me, I'm going to take the Eagles here because it's at home, and I I think the Commanders are going to start to not be looking as good as they have been, and the Eagles since the bye have been looking a lot better. So I got the Eagles winning here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, but you look at the home field advantage, which is why the Eagles probably have the money on them. They're 3.5 favorite. So I definitely think the Eagles win here, just because mostly because the Eagles are more balanced. I don't know if Brian Robinson Jr. is coming back or not this game. Let's take a look there. But I think the Eagles have a good balance going right now, and their defense is coming around. They have athlete wise a great defense. And that's not good for Washington because they don't have a ton of athletes.
Yeah, looks like
I'm taking
Robinson's a
Philly to
game
cover,
time
actually.
decision.
I think Philly covers 3.5. Oh, Green Bay at Chicago. Green Bay 6.5 favorite. I mean, I need the win. Not just for me, but in the standings, in our standings too. So I'm sticking with the Bears at home. Interceptions are going to win the game for Chicago. It's the only saving grace and the hope that I can have that they get interceptions, defense wins the game, and I'm going to take the Bears here at home.
Braver man than me. I don't think the Packers that good, but the Bears are just reeling right now. So I'm taking the Packers here.
Yeah, I figured you would. So I had to go Bears. I need to make up some room, especially after a 3 game swing here last week. Jacksonville, Detroit. What do you got there?
Oh, I'm taking Detroit here. I think it's Mac Jones part two, but it's not going to work. Detroit's going to probably destroy them.
Yeah. What do you feel? How do you feel about the Mac Jones substitution?
I mean, he didn't do great. What was his stats? He wasn't what they only scored 7 points. So
Yeah, 1 touchdown. He almost looked like he was going to have a good game at the very, very beginning, and then it went downhill real quick.
he had 2 interceptions.
111 yards.
Yeah, that's not good.
I mean, at least ETN's back and healthy. Jacksonville 2-8 though. I mean,
Jeez.
you can't take Jacksonville here against Detroit, who is obviously, this is they're a 13-point favorite. So the question is, do they cover?
I would say they do.
Covering 13. Yeah. I mean, my first initial thought was no, but looking just statistically, it does look like they will cover. You can't have that little offense against Detroit because you're giving them the ball too many times,
Right.
and
And
they have
then
too many
Goff
weapons.
had what, four or five interceptions and still won.
5 interceptions and they win the game.
Yeah.
So I would say Detroit to cover as well. Minnesota at Tennessee. It's at home for Tennessee. Minnesota's 6-point favorite.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings here. You can't trust Tennessee. Will Levis is back with them. It's not looking good. We'll see. This is the game you'll see if the Vikings are for real. Because if they go in and dominate this game, then you're like, okay, they're for real. If it's a struggle like last week, then you're like, then you start getting question marks.
Right. You kind of start questioning especially the offense. Like they didn't score a touchdown last week. Yeah, you won, but you kicked 4 field goals. And Tennessee's defense is a lot better than Jacksonville's. Their offense is just anemic.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have Minnesota. I think they'll cover barely. I think they're going to win by a touchdown, which gives them a 1-point cover. So I'd take Minnesota here on the road to cover. Vegas so we got the Raiders at the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Dolphins here at home. Man, I didn't look at the cover, but I have them covering because I have them by 8. 7.5 is a tough cover.
Yeah. Well, the way it's been looking, we'll see. It's not with Getsy gone. This will be the first game without Getsy.
Right.
We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins here too. I
Yeah,
think
you're on a 5 game losing streak.
I need them to keep losing because I need to get Sanders or Ward.
2-7. I mean, you got Dolphins, Broncos, Chiefs, Bucks, Falcons, Jags, Saints. Not a tough finish, but I guess that gets the age-old question is do you want to win any of those games
No,
for the team? Like I know you want them to lose, but how does the team handle that?
no, they're going to try and win as many as they can
Yeah.
and screw us out of a quarterback like we did last year.
Well, you look at it like they could beat the Saints, they could beat the Jags, they could beat, I mean, Falcons. We'll see what they're at in 3 or 4 weeks. Broncos actually looks like a tough game at this point. The Bucks don't look so tough as they did early in the season, but still not an easy game.
Well, it all comes down to their if they have any sort of offense, they have a chance to win games. They haven't had any sort of offense.
No.
I mean, they almost beat the Chiefs, but they have no offense.
Yeah, you look at I mean, they were in some games, but then it's like the Panthers game.
Right. Or the Steelers game or the Broncos game. Yeah,
Right.
it's when they have zero offense.
I got to think Miami is on their way back up as well. Like you said earlier. So it's a tough game for the Vegas when even when they don't really need to win. I think if they were closer to the playoff hunt, they're a better team. But without that, they're not great.
Right.
Let's see, Rams at New England. What do you got there?
I'm taking the Rams. I can't take New England back-to-back weeks. That's crazy talk.
Well, it's a 5 point Rams spread.
Rams are still in the hunt. Patriots are playing nice, but
Right.
this is the game where Stafford and Nakua is back from in Cup. They've been playing. This might be where they actually get it together.
New England's defense isn't terrible. They have that going for them. The problem is the Rams receivers, are really good, and so I don't think New England's deep enough to keep up with them all game. So Rams cover 5, maybe not by a lot, but they cover 5. I mean, they're going into New England, which we always used to think used to be tough, but when your team's not great, that changes the story. So we'll go on Rams there. Cleveland at New Orleans. This is just a nightmare game. In New Orleans at home, we got to go with New Orleans. I'm going New Orleans here. It's a 1.5, so it's a close spread. So you take the home team, like you say.
It's going to be interesting because it is a Jameis going back to New Orleans, maybe going like you should have kept me instead of
Yeah,
Carr.
yeah.
But I'm like you. I'm taking the Saints here. Carr is more. See, Jameis is erratic. He can put up big games, but he's erratic. You know what you got with Carr? He'll give you like 220 to 260, one touchdown. That'll be enough to win.
Right. And then you look at, Jameis last week compared to the first week, it's not the same. 3 interceptions, Chubb can't run the ball, and they're playing the Chargers. So a little tougher team than the Saints. But can Cleveland stop the Saints? I don't think so. You know, it's an interesting game though. It's one of those where you think the Saints will win, but it's still the Saints.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens there.
But it's gonna be the game where the Saints win and the Falcons lose this week, and then it's like, oh, here we go.
Now you have that whole same NFC South story,
Yeah.
right? Oh, here's another great one. Indianapolis at the Jets. I'm going Jets. No, I'm not. Sorry. I'm going Indianapolis in a close one, even though the Jets are the favorite. After last week, like the Jets need to show a little bit more for me to pick them. Jonathan Taylor's run the ball well. Indianapolis has decent receivers. If the Jets can't score, they can't win. So in a close game, I'm going Indy by 3.
I would love that. That would make my pettiness so happy. But the other thing is I'm irritated with the Colts too. I think the Jets win. We got, that if they lose this one, then they're done for the season. And then they're like, it's going to be a complete dumpster fire. So I think they're more motivated. Yeah. So I got the Jets winning, but I hope
It's
I'm
the
wrong.
battle of the 40-year-old quarterbacks.
Yep.
That's got to be like a first time, right? What's the stats on that?
I wonder though. I mean, because you would think ESPN would be all over it.
Yeah. In modern history, I'm sure back in the day there it happened a lot. But you probably had like maybe Brady and no, as far as gone. I'm sure you had it, but it doesn't seem like you would have that very often these days, 2 40-year-old quarterbacks.
Well, let's see if I could find it here.
So that's a swing game. So I need that one. So what I got two now. So this could go really bad or it could help me a lot. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. This is game of the week. Oh, there's 2 games of the week. Pittsburgh's at home. Baltimore's still a favorite. Oh man, this is a tough one. I have Baltimore, so I'm gonna stick with Baltimore. Can't change my mind now. And I'm gonna take them to cover as well. So I think Baltimore comes out with a touchdown victory here, down by 6. Pittsburgh's defense will get tired. And their offense, I don't know, can do enough to stay on the field long enough. So I think Baltimore wins.
Yeah, I think Highsmith is out. So, but what they picked up, did they pick up Zadarius or the Preston? They picked up Preston Smith, right?
Yeah, Preston Smith.
So he's gonna have to play some. But yeah, like you, I got the Ravens winning this. I think Lamar, it's the regular season. I'm gonna always take the Ravens.
Yeah, it's true. But Pittsburgh keeps surprising me is the problem since the beginning of the year. I think Baltimore's on a roll, though. They actually look really good. Granted, they barely beat Cincinnati, but how often are you going to get, 400 yards from a quarterback and 300, 250 from a receiver, and you still win the game? So Baltimore's offense is strong. Their defense is good enough. And it's a big game. Like you get up for big games. So we'll see. This is a Russell Wilson test right here, I think.
Yeah.
I think we get to see what Russell Wilson is all about this year in this game.
And I don't think any 40-year-old quarterbacks played against each other unless Brady Breeze,
That's pretty
probably.
close, right?
I would say Brady and Breeze probably when Brady was on the Bucks.
Right. Was Brees still playing that year?
Well, he retired.
Oh, it's interesting. Brees had a winning record against Tom Brady. Yeah, I don't see. Oh, yeah. Matchups. So they definitely played.
Yeah, when he was on the Bucks, so they both had to be 40.
Yep. They had to be 2022. No. Oh, it was a divisional playoff game was their last game.
Oh yeah, well Breeze looked bad.
Yeah. So it's happened, but it's pretty rare. Atlanta at Denver. What you got there?
Oh, I'm going against what I normally do, and that says I'm taking the Falcons here. I have them going into Denver and winning. I don't know why. Normally, I would have taken the Broncos. I just have a gut feeling that the Falcons will, because this is where when you pick with the Falcons, you kind of have to guess what you're going to get this week. And this week, I think the Falcons will beat the Broncos.
They're going to show up this week, huh?
Yeah,
It's tough though going into Denver.
yeah.
And so I think this is a toss-up game. I think you could flip a coin and decide who wins this game, and you have just as good odds. Um, so I'm going with Denver because they're the home team. I don't have any other good reason
Right.
than to pick the home team on this one because both of these teams have been, you know, looking like a little Jekyll and Hyde all year. You just don't know what team's showing up. So I might as well go with the home team. But I think you're right. Atlanta has the tools to show up and win. It's just, are they going to bring that team?
Right.
Seattle at San Francisco. At home, San Francisco, Seattle doesn't look great. They do get DK back, but San Francisco got CMC back. Every week he'll get better. And so I don't see Seattle going into San Francisco and winning. There's no way. 6.5 favorite, I think they cover.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here. Yeah, the Seahawks are kind of done. I think Pete Carroll kept that team alive. Now that he's gone, it's like, oh, now you're realizing they're not that good.
Yeah, well, it's for me, you should have had a better plan for moving on from Geno Smith. Because yeah, did he come back player of the year and he had a good year, not a great year, but a good year for, how long he'd been in the league and coming back, but he's not your future.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with Pete Carroll too, is he was probably like, I gotta get uh as much as I can before they get rid of me. And so he didn't want to move on from Geno because if he knew he got a rookie quarterback, then it was a wasted pick for him, not for the
Right.
franchise, but for him. Yeah. So when they drafted Witherspoon, they should have tried to get a quarterback in that draft.
Yeah. And there was quarterbacks available too.
Yeah.
So they may be on the way. I mean, what are they right now? They're down to 4-5, which is still in the division,
Right.
really. But they have 49ers, Cardinals to still to play, Rams still to play, Cardinals twice. And then Vikings, Packers, and Bears. That's not an easy finish for the Seahawks. So that's tough. So San Francisco there, Kansas City at Buffalo. So this is the other game of the week here. Yeah, we talked about this a little earlier. It's in Buffalo. It's an important game for Buffalo. Like you said, Josh Allen can beat him in the regular season. So I got to go with Buffalo. It's only a 2.5 spread. So if they win, they most likely cover.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs being undefeated at this point is like the biggest smokescreen of all because they're not an undefeated type team.
No, they just keep winning.
They just keep winning, and that's great, and that's all that matters.
Hmm.
But this week in Buffalo, and for some reason, why isn't this like a Sunday night or a Monday night game?
Right.
Seriously?
Well, what's crazy is the Chiefs do not have a hard schedule to finish. They got Texans, Steelers, and this game. These are the only three games that they could potentially, you could look at them really realistically losing.
Well, they have the Broncos, Chargers, and Raiders still, right?
Yeah, those division games, but none of those teams look particularly great or being able to be. Broncos obviously played them close.
Yeah. And I think all three teams played them close.
Yeah, Chargers were only 7 point loss, Raiders 7 point loss.
So what I'm saying is the teams in that division aren't very good, and the Chiefs barely beat them because I just don't think they win. So you can't knock them. But the eye test is showing they're not as good as their record is showing.
So what are the chances the Chiefs go undefeated?
0%.
0%. Not even one, not even saying there's a chance.
No.
Um, there's a chance. Look at their schedule, there's a chance. It's not likely, but there's definitely a chance. This is the game, I think, if they win this game and they play better than they've played last couple weeks, it gives them some momentum. And the last thing you want to do is get them
Right.
playing better. But I still think Buffalo wins, so I don't think that happens, which makes it less likely for them to go undefeated, obviously. So I'm sticking with Buffalo here. They'll cover the three.
Yeah.
So here's your Sunday night game: Cincinnati at the Chargers. Chargers 1.5 favorite at home.
I'm going with the Bengals. I have the Bengals here. Just because I picked mostly all favorites, so I had to go with a underdog. And you saw what Chase and Burrow did last week. They're like what? Number one passing yardage and number one receiving yardage. So yeah, I got the Bengals winning here.
Well, for me, the Bengals rush defense is pretty good. And so you're going to make the Chargers beat you through the air. And if it's an aired out game, I think that's in Cincinnati's favor. So with a 1.5 spread for the Chargers, I'm definitely taking Cincinnati here. I think they actually win handily. So I may be wrong there, but looking at the way the Chargers played or are playing and the way Cincinnati's playing, Cincinnati's on pace to score and win by 10. So we'll see how that one turns out. And then Monday night, which I guess people thought would be a good game when they scheduled it, we got Houston at Dallas. Battle for Texas.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, definitely. We got to take the Texans here. Come on, Cooper Rush. You
Yeah.
kidding me? Not a chance.
Well, and Houston coming off a tough loss, actually a tough two losses back to back because you lost to the Jets. I mean, they're 3-4 in the last 4 games. So the Texans, I think this is the time where one, D'Amico Ryans as a coach shows what he's all about, right? Can you go into there and get them refired back up again to finish the season strong? And this is a great game to have that like jump off point, Like when you have Dallas now that you can easily go in, win by 2 or 3 touchdowns, and really finish the season strong. So I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. I'll definitely take the spread there. 7.5.
Yeah.
So both Houston there. So a few swing games, not a lot. We've got Denver. We got the Jets in Indianapolis. So Denver and Atlanta, Jets in Indianapolis. Bears,
Packers, Bears.
Packers, Bears, of course. I can't give up on them yet. I may not watch another football game if they lose badly again.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Um, I mean, obviously I can't stop watching football, but man, it's really rough because they should be good, but they're not. So I got a little chance here to come back and get a few games on you. So that's our week 11 picks. Overall record, your record's really good now. With the rough
98 and
start to the
54.
year, though, we've come back quite a bit. Just imagine if we had a better first,
Yeah.
3 or 4
Well,
weeks.
that's what Wes has always said is the first few weeks you should never bet anyway.
Yeah, you just don't know what, and at this point in the season, you kind of know what you're going to get. Well, let's talk a little college football as, we go forward here. What a kind of a crazy week last week.
Well, like Miami, it was inevitable because they should have lost a few other games, right?
Yeah. God, but Georgia Tech, come on. I guess Georgia Tech's 6-4. They're not horrible.
I just love, oh my gosh. Notre Dame beat Florida State 52-3.
I mean, it wasn't even close.
What in the world?
They did whatever they wanted to the whole game, and it was just ugly. You also have the Georgia loss, right? Though, so now you've
Yeah.
got number 3 and number 4 lost. BYU almost lost, so number 9 almost lost, and then Alabama just destroys LSU.
Oh, going back to the BYU though, did you watch the
Ugh.
Utah AD?
I heard their coach in the press conference, which was bad.
Oh no, the AD went off on the Big 12.
Oh man. Oh, is that when he was like, "This is why we didn't want to join the Big 12" or something like that?
Yeah, some like yeah.
Yeah, I actually caught a piece of that. I didn't get the whole thing because I was like, "This guy's mad."
Yeah.
Well, the coach though, like he has a legitimate argument because he was at the game, he's coaching the game, and that holding call,
Was
a
ridiculous.
defensive holding, on a sack. I we've talked about this for years. Defensive holding on run plays or even a sack. It doesn't matter. Like it's not like it's a DB holding a receiver.
Right.
I've always had a problem with that. I just don't understand. Like the offensive lineman can grab the defensive lineman, but they can't like grab them and throw them off.
Right. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I kind of feel like I'm in Utah's court too. They're like, well, the Big 12 is like, well, we need to keep an undefeated team to look good.
That was a tough call. I mean, there's a lot of that, in sports always, particularly with like the Chiefs lately, but you can't think at any point like is it rigged now in the Big 12? Like I know you're stretching, it stretches a little bit. But Utah played well. I mean, BYU just isn't a top 10 team.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they went out. They're going to get the.
Well, they're going. Yeah. I mean, they're on track for sure. Now, then you get into the playoffs, and that's where the people can't talk anymore because everybody wants to talk about how the SEC is going to win all the games. But once you get in the playoffs, then you'll know. Yeah. Alabama right back in it, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Just letting Alabama hang around because it looked like Alabama was in, pretty bad shape there. But they've played a fairly tough schedule. They beat Georgia, they lost to Tennessee, beat Missouri, beat LSU. So not an easy schedule for Alabama.
Yeah. So they got what? Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn left.
Yeah, so they're definitely going to win out. But it was impressive, though, to watch them dismantle LSU. And Jalen Milroe just took over the game. He's like, forget about running with running backs. I'm going to run for 185 yards. Well, there's no, I guess the late game was the Utah BYU. Oh, Michigan, Indiana was interesting. So, what do you think about Indiana? Is Indiana for real?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what was the, we're, it was in Michigan, wasn't it?
It was in Michigan.
That's always tough. Oh no, it was in Indiana. It was in Indiana. So I don't know. It's always weird,
Oh, versus. Sorry, yeah, in Indiana.
Indiana keeps winning, so you can't fault them for it.
At
But
home,
they
though,
don't,
against a very poor Michigan team, that was a close game.
and we'll see in 2 weeks, Indiana plays Ohio State. So
Right. It's their next game. They just have the week off.
yeah.
So week 12 in college, it's kind of interesting because I feel like a lot of teams may have the week off. I was looking at the schedule earlier. Georgia, Tennessee was a big game.
Yeah. That will, one of them's going to be Georgia beats Tennessee, probably knock Tennessee out and Georgia back in.
Boy, if Georgia loses, though, that's going to
They're
put
done.
them in a bad position. Tennessee's leading the conference. They're 5-1 in the conference, 8-1 overall. I mean,
Yeah,
Texas,
they're tied with Texas A&M.
yeah, they're Texas still 4-1 in the conference too. So three of them have won losses, but
Yeah.
Tennessee's right there. Like they got to win this game.
If
At
they
this,
lose, then you're going to have a whole lot of time. It's going to be
Well, at this point in the season, let's say Georgia loses, would you put them at 5-3 in the SEC at this point? Like that's pretty tough.
Yeah, only it's going to be interesting. So, what you get, you still will have Tennessee, Texas A&M, Texas, Alabama ahead of Georgia.
Right.
So you can't really put five
No.
teams in.
I think they're gonna have a tough decision just to put two.
Oh,
Because
they'll have at least two. They might have three.
well, yeah, I was looking at the schedule though. Ole Miss still plays. Oh no, they just played Georgia. So Ole Miss could easily win out. Let's see, Alabama. Yeah, they don't play anybody.
Doesn't Texas play Texas A&M?
Yeah, yeah, they still have a game. So maybe Texas A&M's the loser here because they
Well,
lose. They go to 7-3
right.
or three losses. You can't put a three-loss team in over. Like, what if you have a one-loss Boise or BYU or any of these?
Right. Well, right now they got Boise State at 13, which is kind of crazy. And it's weird to me because they got Miami at 9 and SMU at 14. But right now, if it was to end today, SMU would be in because they'd win the conference.
Yeah. Here, hang on a second.